Hello, fellow microgreen growers and inspiring microgreen growers and entrepreneurs. Welcome back to the podcast, episode 21. I'm your host, Mike, and as always, I am joined with our awesome co-host, Andy. How you doing today, Andy?
Good, good. It's been a crazy day. Got a lot of work done on Farm Flow, but we're here.
Adding in a whole bunch of new stuff for gap stuff and all that stuff. So I'm sure that's a
Yep,
challenging aspect to do. So
yep. It's always fun.
always making farm flow better. So if you guys aren't in there yet, make sure you check that out. Get in that program and get your first 30 days free, right?
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
30-day free trial to try it out, see if you like it, and if you don't, that's up to you.
Yeah.
But we'd love to
You're
have you stick around, obviously.
you're gonna love it. So get
Yeah,
in there and
more than
spill
everything
some
you
guts.
need.
All right. So today we're talking about calculating growth and embracing experimentation and risk in your microgreens venture. We're diving into the heart of innovation and how it powers our industry. So let's get into it. Innovation, just saying a buzzword in our field, is the lifeblood of our business. Without it, you're not growing. And to the core of innovation, experimentation. So let's break it down. Think about it. Every major breakthrough in the industry and microgreen industry, whether it's growing techniques, packaging, or marketing, started with a simple experiment by somebody, somewhere, somehow. Any ideal decided to try it out. That's how we've all gotten here today, experimenting. It just isn't about talking about risk. It's about pioneering, about being the first to try something new and potential game changing. It's how we keep our business going, not just alive, but thriving. Our market is as dynamic as a microgreen grower. Consumers' preferences change tends to come and go, and what worked yesterday might not be working today or tomorrow. By experimenting, we're not just reacting these changes, we're staying ahead of the curve. We're anticipating, adapting, which is critical for any businesses that want to stay relevant and appealing. Andy, I've noticed you've changed your market over the last few years. How did you do that, and what did you change?
Yeah, so we started out doing mainly home subscriptions, and we did farmers markets and things like that. Just we started at our house because there was no farmers markets, live at the time because it was the middle of COVID.
Yeah,
So we didn't have much of a choice. We had our own little farmers market where we had to convince people to drive out to our house. That worked out really well to get started. We did live harvesting there because we had a lot, more time between customers, things like that. Not that you can't do it in a farmers market. I know Joe does it very successfully. But it basically boiled down to the fact that we wanted to get into, bigger accounts like restaurants and grocery stores and things like that. So by the end of that first year, we ended up actually shifting to start with some grocery stores, and we got into some of those just to give us that experience. Then we took an online course, which made a world of difference, through a coaching course that we took back then. And, then we slowly started working towards growing more difficult things. We get into restaurants over time, and so we had to expand our operation out to be handling like arugula and amaranth and bull's blood and cilantro and things of that nature, and then we slowly expanded into distributors since then. So we kind of started small on purpose and worked our way up to some of the big boys, and now
yeah,
we're there. So it's definitely been a journey for sure. It's crazy to
definitely
think how
the right
fast
way to
it
do it.
all happened. Yeah,
You know, you
100%.
you don't want to go after the big boys at first because they are challenging as we're learning, as we're getting more and more into that.
Yeah.
Be a challenging thing to do with. It could really stagnate your business. It's going to take months to get into a distributor, even once they say, "Hey, we want you." It could take.
Yep.
I know Andy's probably been 4 months messing with one. We're
Yeah.
2 months in on one, so it takes
Yep.
time. Uh, and if that's all you're counting on in the beginning, you ain't got no money coming in. It's going to be hard to do. So
Yeah, yeah. The one that we're working on now, we started it in May. So I don't know what's it now, November.
November,
So it's been
yeah,
a bit
6 months,
beyond the fact that it's a massive amount of paperwork that you have to fill out to even become a vendor.
yeah,
It's just getting back and forth with them and getting in the door and figuring out what they want to get, how often they want to get it. And it sounds easy, but it's a massive operation that they're running. I mean, they're pushing in and out millions of dollars worth of stuff every single year. Just recently talked to one a couple weeks ago. They're a $60 million company that they do. It's just produce. That's all they're doing is getting produce in, and they're making $60 million in gross sales every
yeah,
year, which is crazy. So obviously they got a lot more going on than to worry about little tiny microgreen grower like me. So I got to make them, understand that we're important and get in front of the right guys and get them to make the right decisions. So that's the hard part.
definitely.
It takes a lot of time.
Yes, definitely. We've noticed pretty big increase in demand overall, especially with the health consciousness of grocery shoppers over the years. And about a year ago, CBS aired that segment called "The Long and Short of Microgreens." I don't know if you guys even seen that. And that week at the farmers market, we noticed a lot of people coming up asking us questions about our microgreens and greens in general, their health benefits, and that's been a trend that I think has stayed around. Obviously, with that was a big shift that we did a couple years ago. We went into the grocery stores, and now with that health conscious and everything else, people are buying the microgreens now in the grocery store all the time. So that's been a huge change for our business that we pivoted at the right time. This being just ahead of that curve, and not really knowing that we were, and that's where we went to, and then that came out, and that really changed our business when that happened. So, be
Yeah.
in the right place, at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah, and literally, I had a great example of that last week. I was visiting a friend of mine's cafe in Philly, and in walks a guy who was a sales rep for a local distributor. I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" So I got his card. We talked for a bit, and now I'm working on getting to those guys. So it's just you never know. Always be selling. So I always tell people.
Always, you're always selling. Wearing
Yep.
a simple shirt around with your name on it, people are going to look at it. You don't know who else is out there that you don't know. They might not have the shirt on, but they see your shirt and like, "Hey, we've been looking for a microgreen grower. Are
Yep.
you doing distributors?" And then you say yes, even if you're not. Uh, the answer is always
Yeah.
yes, and then you
Yep.
figure it out.
Yep. That's
uh, so
it.
simple things like that can go a long way. So we always wear our merch out wherever we're going. Having the right polo on when you're going to places, a t-shirt, depending on where you're going and stuff. Merch is a big driver in that.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm
but let's
definitely
talk.
bad at that.
Yes, got to do that,
Yep.
Andy. Get your merch going.
Yeah, I got to get better shirts. That's the big problem.
Yeah. So let's talk about product development and experimenting with new varieties, flavors, blends that can set your business apart. Imagine introducing a new flavor combination that no one's ever tasted before. A variety both visually stunning and naturally superior. That just isn't about growing microgreens. It's about crafting an experience of a product that captures the imagination, curiosity, and taste buds of your customers. That can be huge. I know, Andy, you're currently experimenting with some new varieties and combinations. What has worked for you?
Yeah, so cantaloupe, we've been growing it for a little while, but cantaloupe's been a really big seller for us. Just it was kind of a new thing that, having a fruit microgreen, where people were really kind of blown away by that. And unfortunately, a lot of other people have picked up on it too. And the seed's really hard to get right now because of that. So if you're thinking about getting into cantaloupe, just wait a couple months because you can't
Yes.
find seed anywhere at the moment. But that was a great one for us to add. It's a little bit tougher to grow because you have to use heat mats and keep it at a higher temperature during germination, but it's really not the end of the world. And then from there, I mean, it's really been more just creating mixes, that we found restaurants really enjoy. So those have been working out great. We created a new mix earlier this year. We've been selling a ton of it. Distributors are picking it up. They're replacing the California-driven mix that every distributor's getting with this mix that we set up, which is really good. It's way more colorful, has way more flavor to it, and obviously lasts a whole lot longer. So that's been working out fantastic. And then once we get out of here in a bigger space, we're going to start opening up even more, getting into like nasturtium and
Yes.
growing a lot more cilantro and things like that that we haven't really played around with too much yet. But it's definitely on our list. So we're looking forward to that.
Awesome.
Just don't want to
Uh,
overwhelm my employees.
yeah, little by little, little by little.
Yeah. Yep.
Speaking of cilantro, we're in the process of finishing up the cilantro video. So make
Nice.
sure you stay tuned to the channel for that. That's going to be a good one. We've had great success with growing cilantro the way we've grown it. So stay tuned for that one coming out soon.
Yep.
Uh,
Awesome.
The key is calculating experiments, starting small, like we just talked about, testing new varieties in controlled portion in your setup, monitoring your growth and yield. You want to keep track of all that. Response to conditions. What was the temperatures? What was the humidity? What was all that stuff when you were growing it? It's not just about going all in on a whim and telling a chef, "Yeah, I can grow that. I'll get it to you." You've never grown it before. You don't know. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Be careful evaluating the potentials and scaling up responsibly, minimizing waste by using these trials as a learning experience, no matter the outcome. It may not work the first time. Do it a different way, change it out, do some more research, watch some more YouTube videos, whatever, and then figure out if you can change your practice just a little bit for your environment. And then there's problem solving. This is what I was just talking about. In our line of work, we're facing challenges daily, from pest control to climate control to issues packaging problems. Sometimes the methods we've learned in the past just don't cut it anymore. You move environments that may not work in the new environment. You move from your house to a warehouse to bigger space. You move from the shed into your house, from the basement to the garage. It's all going to be different. It's going to change the way you're going to grow. So these experiments are highly important while you're doing these moves before you just fully commit. Become most of the powerful tool you can have in your business is this. Trying new approaches that may even something a little bit unconventional can lead to effective, efficient solutions that we might discover otherwise. So you might discover just a little bit of changing the seeding density on something might get better yield. You might go down in like sunflower seed yield, and you might get better yield planting less seeds than planting more seeds. It doesn't work on everything, but it does work a lot with sunflowers. They get a little too overcrowded. You get a lot of undergrowth, stuff like that you can experiment with. Andy, I know you've been problem solving with a new farm tool in your thing that you just had on your Facebook. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so it's we've been playing around with this. Basically, it's a food safe soil press. If you're in my Facebook group, you guys have seen it posted. I posted it the other day, and it's been something I've been playing around with for probably about a year. Just kind of figuring out the best idea, the best way to actually implement it. So I luckily I have a friend of mine who's an architect, and he works with CAD and all that stuff all day long. So had him draw up a design, and we came up with a different methodology as far as like how handles are placed on there. To make sure that we can adjust them in either direction. So depending on how, if your trays are more wide and you're pressing soil versus, tall and you're pressing soil, it could be up here, it could be here. So it's just very ergonomic, very simple to use. And I've seen too many people using pieces of plywood and other really disgusting things to press their soil with, that ultimately in the long run, that's not going to do you any good. If you're trying to go for any kind of GAP certification, they're going to laugh that tool out of the building because it's a gross thing. I mean, it's getting wet every single day. There's all kinds of crevices for things to live in. Obviously, there's other ways to do it. This is just something I've been wanting to do for a while. And if you guys decide you want one, awesome. If not, I'm not worried about it. At least I'll have them. But I want to make them available to the general public. So if you guys are really, keen on food safety like I am, you'll have this as an option where it's all food safe material. It's a aluminum plate, which is food safe based on the actual type of aluminum that it is, and then the handles are stainless steel, which are a food safe thing as well. And then the screws even are actually food safe. And we're actually researching different food safe thread lockers as well. So the actual screws can have food safe thread lockers. They won't come undone very easy. So it'll just keep everything together really nicely. So but yeah, we're still going through the process. I mean, we just got the version we got the other day. It's actually a little bit too small now, unfortunately, because we did find that bootstrap shallow trays versus the deeper trays, the actual bottom radius all the way around is smaller on the deep trays than it is on the shallow trays. So when we got the original version, it fit great in the shallow trays, and then it didn't fit all the way down in the deep trays. So we had them cut it down to the deep tray size. Now it's way too small for the shallow trays. So we got to find that happy medium, where it's going to work for everything. But obviously, it doesn't have to physically go to the bottom.
But if you're using the deep trays correctly, you don't have to go that far down.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
Yep. The same size.
Yep. Yeah. What we were trying to avoid, if it worked, which obviously it didn't, is if you push all the way down for whatever reason, we don't want the tool to get stuck in the tray. So that was kind of the thought process. If they can go all the way down, it's not a big deal, but we're definitely going to find some kind of a happy medium. Because obviously, if you have growing medium in there at all, you're not going to be going all the way to the bottom anyway. And if you're, so that's, hopefully, exactly. Using way too less dirt, if that's the case.
Yes.
So, but yeah, we've been toying around with that. So it's just been something extra project to play around with again, but it's something we wanted for our farm for a while. And I was able to luckily find a place that can manufacture it at least a semi decent scale. So I just got to get it totally good to go, get the right size, which is going to cost more money, unfortunately, to have another one made.
Yep.
But it is what it is. I want to make sure it's perfect.
Yeah, it's the joys of doing it all. You have to play around with it and figure out the right things, right? When you're developing something new. So
yeah, I mean, this is literally what you would consider new product development. Nothing like this is out there, so we got to make it work and figure out all the little nuances with it. So it's pretty cool. It's fun. Just a fun little side project.
Just another thing to experiment. So within your own business, experimenting with what you're doing and everything else can lead to this. So obviously, experimenting with growing and methods and everything else isn't going to cost you what it's going to cost you to build a new product. going to cost you pennies really to experiment in this. So it doesn't really cost you much to experiment and find out if something's going to work. So definitely experiment as you're growing your business and figure out what works best for you and what you could do to just improve just a little bit. So,
Yep, that's
all right.
it.
Now
And
let's
beyond
talk.
that, I mean, obviously, FarmFlow was a huge experiment for us.
Yeah.
It's been an ongoing experiment. It will continue to be. So, but yeah, that's definitely a big way that we've kind of, gone out of what the norm would be to kind of experiment and try new things. So it's been a fun project too.
Yeah. It's fun to be getting in there and playing around with Farm Flow. So enjoying it. So,
Thank
and
you.
now let's dive into the flip side of that coin and talk calculating risks. This is where the rubber meets the road, the business growth. Let's break it down to what it means in our world of microgreens. Risks are inherited in any business, but in the world of microgreens, it's not about taking wild chances. It's about making informed decisions where you're taking your business and understanding the potential upsides and downsides of every decision. This could mean experimenting with a new growing technique, like we talked about, that might increase yield, but doesn't require an upfront investment. It's about knowing your numbers and understanding your market, making decisions that are bold but grounded in reality. Don't get crazy. Now, expanding into a new market or distributing channel can feel like a step into the unknown territory. Yes, it is a risk, but it can also open new doors that's sniffling growth in your business. Maybe it's exploring a new area further than your current delivery radius, just expanding that just a little bit to go after stuff, or tapping into the restaurant industry if you're just done home deliveries or you're just done grocery stores. Now, maybe you're going to open up restaurants within that same delivery area. That's a whole new experiment there and going after something different. These requires moves that are due diligence. You need to understand the new market, the competition, and how the products fit in. But if you can get in it right, you're just not growing microgreens, you're growing a business exponentially. Andy, how are you looking to expand your business going forward?
Yeah, so I mean, once we get out of here, our plan is to actually really start tackling distributors as best we can. I have a stack of business cards, and part of that, unfortunately, is going to be getting GAP certified, which we haven't done yet. We're in the process of doing it, so we're almost done, thankfully. But for the most part, you're going to want that if you're approaching those places. But they're major. I mean, you're talking huge amount of stuff you're adding almost overnight. The expense is really high because obviously you got to buy all the products that you need to be able to actually grow for them, the trays, the
Yeah.
racks, the lights, everything else. So it's definitely a big expense up front. And like Mike said earlier, it can take 5, 6, 8 months before you're finally actually making your first sale to those guys. By the time you go through the paperwork process, the compliance process, everything else, it's insane. But it's worth it if you can get that far, because they're huge accounts usually. If you're willing to take that chance, the downside is they're also huge accounts. You can potentially lose, huge amount of money overnight if they decide to go with somebody else. So just some things to think about. So that's where you have to be in that risk assessment world is like,
Yep.
if you're going strictly after your distributors right from the get-go and you're going to spend 6 months trying to land one, and then they may pay, let's say, $60,000 a year roughly. If you're spending $10,000 up front to buy the equipment you need, now you're out 6 months worth of your time and you're out 10 grand up front before you even get paid at all. And then you're taking the chance that they're just going to say, "Oh, I found somebody else," and they're going to drop you. They're not worried about the personality and the relationship as much as they are their bottom line. So if somebody comes in cheaper, there's a good chance they're going to take them out.
Yeah.
So just one thing to keep in mind, it's a big, huge risk. So that's where you have to really understand if that's going to be worth your time or not. But yeah, that's our plan. I mean, we have enough base business to where if we lose one or gain one, it isn't going to it'll make a huge difference, but it's not the end of the world. So we make sure we do that carefully. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's our plan. And then obviously Farm Flow, is a big piece of our expansion going forward too. It's just another, potential revenue streams, and obviously people get to use it. So, and I'm hoping as a result of people using it, then the whole industry will get lifted up and
Yeah.
be better and be more accurate and be, doing cleaner, just general food safety practices with all the stuff, the tools that are in there, and just people aren't running out of supplies. And just that's the idea, is just to have a lot better microgreen growers as a whole. And this can definitely help you do that.
Yes.
So that's kind of our big pieces going forward is the gap, the distribution, and getting Farm Flow even further along, and the
Perfect.
little soil press thing.
Yeah. All the little things. All the little
Yeah,
things.
it's a minor project, but it'll be fun.
For us, it's just getting started working with the large food distributor that we talked about earlier, as well as the local food purchasing grant that's going on in our area. These
Yeah.
are our two new biggest steps that we're going to continue to grow our business. And we know that the grant ones are going to run out in 2 years. So knowing that ahead of time, how long that business is going to last, it's going to be 2 years. So we're going to grow our business based off of the fact that that ends in 2 years. Hopefully, maybe they come up with it and it continues, but knowing it's going to end in 2 years, so you just don't want to count on that money going forever. Use it to build the business, buy more stuff, be ready for more distributors, and then you start talking to the distributors 6 months ahead of all that stuff ending, and get them in there to take over that business that you're going to lose. So this forethought of the business. Don't wait till something ends
Yeah.
knowing it's going to end and then try to change and get more business, because you're going to be in trouble. Because at that point, obviously, we're going to have multiple employees, might have a million employees as Andy at that point with all the business going on.
Yep.
What do you do with them after 2 years? You just don't want to fire them because you don't have something. So you always want to be able to get new business to be able to keep them employees employed, and adding
Yep.
on more people, giving people really good jobs going down the road is one of our biggest goals as well. So I'm sure Andy
Yeah.
worries about that all the time, like with his businesses. You got
Oh yeah.
employees to worry about,
Yep.
feeding their
Yeah.
families as well. So
Yeah, I mean, and one of them's my daughter. I mean, if we, I definitely don't want to fire her, then she's out of job, and that'd be really bad. So it's, I definitely, it's always on my mind that I make sure my two full timers get full time hours, no matter what,
yeah,
even if that means I'm not even here at all for the whole
yeah,
week. If it comes down to it, if we have like a really slow week for whatever reason, if a large account cancels or something, then it's I want to make sure they still got time, because ultimately their time is worth being here, because they're helping me get further along in the business. So if I lose one or both of them, I would be working here crazy amount of hours
yeah,
every single week. So it would get real nuts real quick. So I gotta make sure that I keep them happy for obvious reasons, because I want them to stay, because
sure.
they're incredibly valuable to our business for sure.
Yeah, and as you bring on new business, you want to have them experienced workers in there to be able to
Yep.
handle on that new business as you bring new people on too. You don't want to be training a whole new staff when you got new
Yeah.
business. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's training people from start to finish. It's a good 3 to 6 months before they really get good. Really get good at harvesting, really get good at not cutting themselves,
yeah,
with knives during harvesting, packaging, planting. I mean, there's so many little things that you don't have to, you don't even think about. Even watering, it takes a bit for them to learn all those things.
nice. All right, let's talk about marketing traditional methods as they have their place, but sometimes you need to shake things up a bit. We're talking about guerrilla marketing, social media campaigns, or even community events. These strategies can be a gamble, but with the creativity and proper execution, they can pay off big in your brand visibility. Customer engagement can be huge. Remember, in marketing, sometimes the riskiest move is to play it safe. Andy, I know you've done a great participating in community events. How have these affected your business?
Yeah, so they've been good. I actually just did one maybe 2 weeks ago, and the place, it's a large company. They have like maybe 800 to 900 employees, and and it's an event that was just for their employees. They were required to go, so we got to talk to almost everybody. And apparently, we got really good feedback. So the person who actually ran that event reached out to us this week. I think it was like last Friday or Thursday, and they want us to actually come in and do a private presentation for their employees, which is awesome. So I'm going to obviously talk to her and be like, hey, I'd love to get some kind of a company-based subscription set up for these guys, and maybe give them a discount to get started or something like that, and then I can deliver to one place and potentially have hundreds of employees buying all those products all at once, and maybe even get the business to actually sponsor them eating it, or do some kind of weight loss challenge, or all kinds of ideas come into my head where I want to try and make that work. So now I've just got to work with that lady, and try and get it set up and get in there. So I think it'd be a really cool event to be part of. But yeah, I mean, and I would have never had that opportunity had I not decided to do this one day event that I thought, well, this could work or couldn't work. So that's it. You just never know. I mean, every opportunity you get out there and talk to people about what you do, and especially in your community where they have, it's customers that are going to buy from you because they live right there.
Yeah,
Do it. I mean, talk at libraries, talk at farm events, whatever you can do. We talk to colleges, schools, all over the place. So yeah, we try and be very proactive with that.
for sure. Yeah, get out in the community. It can be as simple as going to a grocery store that you're already in, spend the afternoon over there sampling. This small amount of time can be a huge impact on your long-term sales at that location.
Yep.
Um, we just did this past week, this past weekend, Saturday. So yesterday feels like it was longer ago than that, but it was yesterday. that we sampled there, and we were standing right across from our products where we were sampling, and people, I would say 80% of the people that came up and sampled was like, "Where's these at?" They didn't know they were there because they're down in a well at that store, unfortunately. And so we had to point them down to where they're at, and they seen them, and like almost everybody that sampled went over and bought.
Yeah.
So I think maybe one person didn't go by, but she was still shopping when we left, so she probably came back around and bought. I think she likes it as a hangout time at the grocery store, talking to all the employees and everything. But that's huge. Now, them 10, 20 people that bought that day, them are probably going to be residual customers coming back every 2 weeks or so to buy. And if you go back and sample again, you get that more. Like that just builds up sales over time. So can be huge going out and sampling. If you can, and almost every grocery store, if you say, "Hey, I want to come sample our product," they're probably not going to say no. They're going to say, "Yeah, Saturday's a good day to come, 11 to 2, be here then, bring a table, sample away." They're not going to care. They
Yep.
like that stuff in their grocery stores. Have you done
Yeah.
any of that, Andy? Or been
Oh
offering?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I always tell everybody on my coaching courses and stuff. It's like once you get into a grocery store, you're not going to be there to make those sales. So getting in and being handing out free samples is huge because then you're literally giving your stuff right to the people that they're in the store already.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, keep packs right on your table, and that way you can say, "Oh, you really like the broccoli? Here you go." And then they have a lot more chance of taking it from you and actually going all the way to the front and buying it than if they have to walk down an aisle and then you hope they grab it off of the shelf. So really try and be proactive, get it in their carts, obviously, and then that way they can actually make the purchase. But yeah, I mean, it's when I go to do sampling, they usually order at least 2 to 3 times what they would normally get that week because they know I'm going to sell everything on the shelf. So it's a huge bonus, and obviously it just helps increase more returning customers which obviously increases your
Yeah.
recurring order. So
Yes.
it's definitely the way to go. If you get into a grocery store, do that as often as they'll let you.
Yes. For sure. Yeah. And the produce manager said, "Hey, hopefully they're coming back more." I said, "Hey, we can be here once a month if you'd like us to be." I think
Yep,
that's a
exactly.
good way to be, about once a month if you can get in there and sample and everything else. So we'll
Yep.
probably be doing that a lot. Adding new products to your line can always be a gamble, but it also can be an opportunity to diversify and capture a wider audience. Thinking about introducing grow kits for like home gardeners, edible flowers, or even lettuce to your product line. Each of these products come with their challenges, obviously, from products, marketing. However, it can also chance to reach new customers and give your regulars something exciting and new that they can get. Andy, I know you're not looking at doing edible flowers yet. Something you might want to get into, but I know you did offer grow kits. Are you still offering grow kits?
Yeah, we sell them just on our website. We ship them all over the place, pretty much in the United States for the most part, which has been really good. I mean, especially around Christmas time, we sell hundreds of them in the month of November and December. So we're getting ready to ramp up our advertising on that to the local area. Try and get that because unfortunately Facebook doesn't let you do just like a national ad, which is so annoying. So we try and at least target the local area. But there's a lot of people that buy them in the local area that will ship them out, all over the country as well, or they'll just have them shipped directly to that person, which is good. So definitely makes our life easy. But yeah, we sell a ton of them this time of year,
Nice.
every single year. So yeah, it's definitely worth it. I mean, just buy all the supplies on Amazon, in bulk or whatever, and then put them all together, and it's not too hard. So
Yeah.
just got to think about what you want to be in there, and obviously got to give them instructions, things like that. So we have instructions right on our website, which makes it really easy. So if I have to change them, I'll have to change them in one place.
Nice. Don't have to do a whole
So
bunch of flyers or anything.
yeah, exactly. Yep, works out nice. But yeah, grow kits are great. I mean, it's not going to be like a huge money maker. It is for us this time of year, but that's it. The whole rest of the year, they're pretty slow. But we don't really push them, honestly. I mean, it's not really a big thing for us. We'd rather do the microgreens.
Yeah. Just a little add on money,
Yep.
which can help. Definitely can
Yeah.
help. For us, we've recently added, obviously, you can check out our Instagrams and stuff and post in the Facebook group. We've added edible flowers. They're still in production, starting to get some blooms though. That was yesterday. It's starting to really, really open up. I haven't taken a picture of that. That is our bicolor French marigold, looking beautiful. It's red and or yellow, I believe. We also are growing lettuce now. This has really opened up some doors for us, getting that local food purchasing program to where they want lettuce during the off seasons that they can't get from traditional farmers. Vertical indoor farmer, they can get it from. So that's going to lead to a great source of income for us. So timing on that, again, we were just starting to build this, and then this program it came about, and they said they basically take all of it that we can grow. Just being ahead of the curve, like we talked about just a minute ago, just being the foresight of seeing stuff, being ahead of that curve is going to lead to a big expansion of money for us coming into the business. So expansion is great, but with that comes some financial sides as also. So let's talk about investments in technology, equipment, or even infrastructures. These decisions can be taken lightly at all. Every dollar spent should be stepped towards achieving your business goals. Cash flow is a big part of business, so you want to make sure you have that. A nice piece of equipment might speed up your production, but does it align with your current needs, your financial capability? Conducting through cost benefit analysis, critical here. Got to do that. It's not just about spending money, it's about having investments for your business in the future. Andy, with expansion into your new space, you have a lot to consider in investments and new equipment for your farm. Have you done any of that yet?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked to a couple different places about a commercial dishwasher, which I think is definitely where we need to be. As you can see, you can see 2 out of the 4 racks that are behind me that are
Yeah.
full of trays right now. So it's an all day event getting all that stuff washed. So it'd be a whole lot easier. Plus, I can give my full timers that job instead of having to make them, wash dishes, which I try and avoid having them have to do,
Yeah.
just because it's so time consuming. So I can give them extra hours by just having them run those things through the dishwasher and put them away. But obviously, like, there's soil spreading machines that you can get. There's automated harvesting tools, machines that you can get. I mean, but if you're just starting out and you go decide, hey, I'm going to buy a $25,000 microgreen harvesting machine and a $8,000 soil spreader and start renting a $200 a month, commercial dishwasher or whatever. I mean, you'd be crazy. You'd be on so much money up front. So, and obviously you got to get it to the point where the business is building enough to where it makes it worth your time, because a commercial dishwasher, even right off the bat, it may sound like a great idea, but if it's $200 a month, you got to make at least that in time, not just,
Yes.
the time it's saving you. It's not a matter of like actual money you're making to cancel it out. It's the amount of time you're saving and how much you would be paying somebody to do that job. That's where it has to make sense. Even something like a soil spreader, they're about $6,500 to $8,000 to get a really good one.
Yep.
And if it saves you, let's say, 30 seconds per tray, how long is that going to take before that's worth it, for you? I mean, if it's 5 years before it's going to pay for itself, there's a good chance that thing won't even be working in 5 years. So it's just some things to think about, because obviously you got to maintain that. Where the commercial dishwasher, at least, is maintained by somebody. But
Yep.
yeah, it's just, you got to think about it. Make sure there's money coming in enough to make it make sense. That's going to save you enough time to make it make sense.
Yep.
But yeah, the microgreen harvesting machine, the big one, is definitely on our list eventually, but we're a long ways from getting to that point. We want to be at like probably 2,000 to 3,000 trays a week before we even consider something like that.
Yeah, same. Because we looked at that soil purchase. We've talked about this in the past, me and Andy. That soil filling machine that fills your trays for you, and it's about $8,000 to get everything you need for microgreen growing. 8 to 9,000. For us, we would need to quadruple our business to make it worth the while, because we get all our planting done. In total, we plant the wheatgrass on Thursday, everything else pretty much on Friday, a few other things here and there. But it's only about 4 to 5 hours of planting time. That would cut us down maybe to 3 hours. So it would take us 2 to 3 years before we get our money back at our current volume. If we quadruple and we got our money back in 6 months, now it makes sense. And that's the way we do calculations if we're going to buy a new piece of equipment or something like that. But the dishwasher is immediate money back. It's cut dishwashing down from 12 hours to 4 hours. So that's 8 hours every week that we're saving in labor that we were paying somebody. That's huge. That's money back right away. And it costs us about $100 a month. That's a no-brainer. Like Andy said, they maintain it. We ain't got to even maintain that piece of equipment. They come in and check, make sure it's working and everything else. So that was a no-brainer. So that would be my recommendation for everybody. If you're looking for something to speed yourself up, a dishwasher. Now, obviously, you still got to spray the trays out. You can't just put them in there full of soil. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to clean it very well. You still got to spray them out, put them in there, but it still saves you a lot of time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have an absolute maniac of a dishwasher. I mean, she got all 4 of these racks done in 2.5 hours, which is insane.
Yeah.
Sanitized and all. It's just, she's an absolute monster when she's washing trays.
Beast.
But for example, last Saturday, she called out, and guess who had to wash the trays? Me. Yep. Because my other dishwasher was also out of town visiting a college, and so me and my wife came in here. We knocked them all out, and it took us all freaking day. But having a commercial dishwasher would have been really nice that day, just to make that difference. So, but Yeah,
And you can get around to another task if you got that, so there's more stuff
yeah,
you do and you can grow your business more, or save some
yep,
money, so yeah.
yeah. Even while you're waiting for the commercial dishwasher to run its cycle, you can get something small,
Yep,
accomplished, whatever it is. You got a minute and a half or a minute or whatever. So
yep,
you get other things done in that amount of time.
yep, for sure. We recently have purchased a big piece of a system, is our growing lettuce system. We've been filming that progress. It's going to definitely be a video that's coming up soon, as soon as we get it all figured out and everything else. But so make sure you check that out and having notifications on this channel. Subscribe to the channel so you can see that, how we built our lettuce growing machine there, our whole area. It's from Crop King. I'll let you guys know that, but it's with modifications to make it work for lettuce. So it's not 100% just out of the box ready to go. So
Yeah.
because we manipulated it a little bit. So and speaking about videos that are coming out, our farm tour from our new location we're setting at right now has been out for members. So if you're a member, you could watch that already, our farm tour. And that goes out to the public on Tuesday, this Tuesday at 2:30. So be ready to look at that. You can see how we are doing our farm tour and how we're growing everything in this warehouse space. So make sure you check that out. All right, let's talk about learning and growth. This is one thing that takes risk and experiments. But what truly matters is what you've learned from these experiences and how we grow. So let's get into it. Continuing improvement is a buzzword that many industries, but it's in ours, it's a way of life. Culture, experimentation, and risk taking isn't just about trying new things, it's about relentless pursuit of being better. Whether you're refining your growing techniques, tweaking your marketing strategy, exploring new markets, it's never settling for just good enough. Now let's talk about failures. It's not about dirty, it's not a dirty word. In fact, it's a world, failures are a gold mine of learning. Every experiment that does not work, it's just pans out. It just teaches us something invaluable. A failed crop? No. It's just about finding a way that doesn't work, get you one step closer to a method that does. This is a lesson that's paved the way for the future success. Big time on that. Andy, I know you've learned from any failures you've had in the recent past.
Yeah, I mean, literally when we first started, we bought a bunch of really small packs of a bunch of different varieties that we thought we would want to try. We planted every single one all at once. Whatever didn't come out well, we were like, nope, we're done with that one for now. So we didn't even want to go through that process when we first started because there's so many varieties to grow. So anything that gave us a problem, of course, arugula was on the list, cilantro was on the list. We're like, nope, let's nix those for now. And we focus on the ones that we were able to grow. And we just build the business off of those that we could grow consistently every week. And then we eventually, when we got good and felt confident with it, we went back to arugula and went back to cilantro, and some of these other ones that we toyed around with in the very, very beginning. But beyond that, I mean, it's, Mike and I have taught each other how to grow different things just in the last
Yep.
couple months.
Yep.
I mean, he's taught me, gave me a way better version of how to grow beets. I've showed him a better way how to grow arugula, just little things that we pass back and forth. So even people at our level who have done this 1,000 times, literally every single week, we still learn things all the time. And when we get into the new space, I'm literally going to have dedicated racks that are just for experimentation.
Nice.
Literally, that's all they're going to do. We're going to plant extra trays in different ways and see what works and what doesn't. And we'll have the room to do that, thankfully. So that's I'm looking forward to that. And then it'll give us a great place to test new varieties and try and figure them out as well. So yeah, but whenever we plant a new variety, we always plant like 5 or 6 trays of that exact same thing in completely different ways,
Yep.
just to see what works. Put weight on it, don't put weight on it, bury it, don't bury it, depending what it is, soak it, don't soak it, all kinds of different stuff. There's so many different little stupid things. Even the seed amount,
Yeah.
can be varied obviously greatly. So yeah, just definitely don't be afraid to try different things, because if you're doing the same thing every week and it's failing every week, then that's the definition of insanity. I hate to tell you.
Yes. Might as well get you hit your head against the wall all day long.
Yep.
It's don't be hard headed. Change. If it's not
Yep.
working, change. There's a great book by John C. Maxwell. It's called Failing Forward. Is a great way to say, is a great quote. If you're not failing, you're probably not really moving forward. That is one of my favorite quotes from that book. That one is on the bookshelf at home. It's a great book. If you guys haven't checked it out, make sure you check that out. I'm sure Jess can probably drop a link to that book in there if you guys want to check it out. But yeah, it's a great book. So in the competitive world of microgreens, staying ahead isn't just about what you're growing. It's about how you think. Those who take calculated risk and dare to be different are often the ones that lead the pack. They're the trendsetters. They're the innovators. They're the ones who shape the future of this industry. And let's be clear, when we're talking about risk, we're not advocating for impulsiveness. Each calculated risk should be just that, calculated, based on thorough research, data analysis, and a deep market insight. It's about making informed decisions that align with your business goals and values. We just moved into a much larger space. That was a risk. But when we ran the numbers, we evaluated every potential problem before we considered moving into the space. It was a long time that we ran these numbers and to make that decision. Andy, I know that you're moving into a new space,
Yep.
calculating that risk for you, business too, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, especially when, again, when there's employees involved,
Yeah.
it's a lot more risk at that point because now I've got to convince them to drive, 20 minutes further than they're driving already for the same amount of pay.
Yeah.
So, part of that's going to involve, some perks. I'm going to get them easy passes and pay for their accounts, and that way they can drive through the toll every day, and it's on me. I also told them that they could clock in and clock out when they get in their car. So as they're driving to the location,
Nice.
they're going to get paid, and when they're driving back, they get paid. Because like I said, if I lose those two guys, I am royally screwed. And I don't want to work 100 plus hours a week to try and keep up with all this. So, it's definitely, I'm going to make it worth their time and at least give them little bonuses that I can, where we're at. But the nice thing is, I mean, we're moving out of retail into not retail.
Yeah.
And the cost per square foot drops dramatically. So
Yes.
we're doubling our space, but we're only paying another $700 a month compared to where we are right now. So, which may sound like a lot to a lot of people, but that's really not the case when you're talking leasing. Leasing is
Yeah.
not cheap. So it's a very small amount that we have to make in difference. The only downside is potentially for the next 4 or 5 months, I'm going to be paying two rents, which sucks. But that's all part of the fun. I mean,
Mhm.
they're not going to, the other place isn't going to wait until March for me to move in. They're looking to, rent the place now.
Yes.
So they're not going to wait around for me. So you just got to do that. And it's hard to find that perfect calculation. When you're moving out of your house, it's easy,
Yeah.
but once you get out of your house, it's really tough to time it just right to where you can move into another space, not be in this situation. So, um, but yeah, we definitely did, ran the numbers, made sure we were in good shape. And just with the other things we've got going with farm flow, with business coaching, with things like that, it's a little, we have more revenue streams that are coming into the business. So that definitely helps kind of cover some of that cost, obviously. But
Yeah.
I mean, once we get in there, I will be a full-time salesman. So even if we're losing money potentially in the first couple months, we're not going to be losing money for long. I can tell you that right now.
Yes.
So yeah, I'll be a sales maniac.
Yep, but you calculate your risk there, and he figured that out. That's what he has to do to keep them employees. That was part of
Yep.
the risk analysis for him of doing that. So that's nice that you're doing that for your employees. That's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
so let's focus on inspiration, innovation. Creating a culture of experimentation doesn't just impact your crops; it ignites your creativity within your team. It leads you to innovate ideals, can drive growth, set your microgreen business apart from your competition. Difference is the key of any business. By taking calculated risk, you're not just growing your microgreen business, you're cultivating a unique brand, distant, distant voice in a crowded market. That's what sets you apart. What makes your customers choose you. Andy, I know that you've built a great brand in your market. What do you think customers think about when they see the Fresh Source Farms logo?
They know it's local and they know they've probably already talked to me at some point, and I get all the time, people tell me constantly, it's your passion. Your passion is what sells me, and it's because anytime I'm talking to somebody about my business, you think I was talking about a child that was just born, that I'm so excited about and I'm always passionate about. So that helps significantly. I'm an extroverted person by nature, so it makes it a little easier for me.
Yeah.
But if you're introverted, you just got to find a way to get that passion out and across to your customers. Because if somebody comes up to your table and you're just like, "Hey, how's it going? Here's my broccoli I grew," that's not going to impress anybody. You really
I,
got to just get out there and make people understand that you're awesome and that your products are awesome and that you're going to be the best of the best. And it doesn't matter who you're up against. If there's a large grower right down the street, take them out. Go against, do what you have to do. I mean, it's part of the game.
yeah.
You're always going to have competition. I went without it for a while here. There's plenty of it here now, but it hasn't phased us at all, because we're continuing on our course of bringing the best product at the best value and, getting the best quality and making sure they know who we are. And that's it. We're just trying to dominate as best we can. So, I mean, I have the largest indoor farm on the face of the earth, about 45 minutes from my house. That's a huge competition to have, but we don't worry about it. We're just doing our thing. There's plenty of business out there.
Plenty of business. Every person that eats, which is all of us, is a
Yeah.
potential customer. So there's plenty of business out there. So definitely. One more piece of innovation is adaptability. Adaptability. Yeah. Businesses that are open to calculated risks and embrace experimentation are often more adaptable. They are better equipped to thrive in changing market conditions that pivot when necessary and seize new opportunities as well as they come along. Andy, moving away from retail, I'm sure has been a huge change for your business. Instead of
Yeah.
waiting for customers to come in to you, you're able to go out and get more business. I'm sure
Yeah. I
that's
mean,
a big change on your business.
yeah, talked about adaptability. I mean, we went from never doing retail in our entire lives, other than working, a million years ago in retail,
Yeah.
to having a full-blown store with thousands of products, within a couple weeks. So it was a huge, huge thing, and it wasn't like a fake it till you make it. It was make it and hopefully people don't realize you're faking it kind of thing. We didn't know what the heck we were doing. I mean, I've never had a point of sale system, never had to do any of that kind of stuff. Design a store. I mean, I did all kinds of research to figure out like when people walk in, what do they go to first? We
Yeah.
made sure we laid our store out around that, and it was just a ton of work. And that was definitely a huge adaptation to what we were used to. So I'm glad it's gone. It was a lot of fun while we did it, but
Yeah.
ultimately, the farm grew like we were hoping it would, and it took up the space like we were hoping it would, and that's what's allowing us to move on to the next stage. But yeah, I mean, if you can adapt on the fly, I tell my daughter, who's my manager here all the time, the people that can make quick decisions that make sense on the fly when the crap hits the fan are going to be the best business owners out there.
Yep.
Because you have to be able to figure things out really quickly. Oh my gosh, we're half a pound short on amaranth. What can we do? Oh my gosh, we forgot to water these plants yesterday. They're dead. And now what do we do? I mean, you have to be able to think on your feet really quickly, to make those changes and make those adaptations, because it's going to happen. I mean, nobody has a perfect business. And if you do, you can write a book on it and make millions because it just doesn't
Nobody
happen.
has that.
Yeah, nobody. So that adaptability is what's really truly going to make you be successful.
Yes.
And if you don't have that ability to adapt on the fly, it's going to be very tough for you to get really, really big, because you're going to run into some major issues at some point.
Yep. And one thing that can help you in that adaptability, if you're not like we were in restaurant business I was for 22 years. So that is always by the seat of your pants. Like fires are always going on. You always got to
Yeah.
be adaptable and taking care of them. So that has helped us out a lot. But if you've not been in that or you've not been able to do that, what's going to help you in that is having a coach, having a cheerleader.
Yep.
I posted this little meme on the thing the other day. You need 4 people in your corner. One of them's a
Yep.
coach. You need somebody beside you that you can ask questions to. So, Andy does coaching. I do coaching. We have a whole coaching course that we do weekly Q&As with. You can buy a one-on-one coaching course with us. Andy has that as well. You want one of us in your corner, or both of us even in your corner, because we're going to have different thoughts and ideals. So you definitely want to have a coach in your corner so you can help grow your business. If I didn't have a
Yep.
coach I could call on in the beginning of this business, there's things I didn't know that I was able to call somebody, messaging. Hey, what about this? That helped us out tremendously. I know, Andy, you had the same thing.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, how many times you and I text each other throughout
Yes.
the week,
Yep.
just
All
asking
the time.
questions about random things. I mean, that's the beauty of it. You need professionals, you need experts, people that with tons of experience, that can help you get to where you need to be. And obviously, we both thoroughly enjoy doing this. We wouldn't be doing this if we didn't.
Yes.
So, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to one or both of us. We both coach different ways. You're going to learn a ton from either one. There isn't going to be any repeat, because I don't know what Mike says, and he doesn't know what I say when I talk to people. So, you're not going to hear the exact same thing. We didn't work
No.
together and say, "Oh, let's screw these people. We'll create the same course and charge them for both." No, it's not the case at all.
No.
You're going to get different things from me and different things from him, and you take what works best for you and go from there. So, I mean, he and I both took coaching courses early on in our Microgreens career, and we wouldn't be sitting here right now if it wasn't for those courses. I'm telling you straight
Yes.
up,
100%.
100%.
Yep. Yeah. No doubt about it, for sure. So by embracing experimentation and calculated risk, you're not just nurturing plants, you're growing your business, your brand, your future in this exciting industry. It's about being more than a grower. It's about being a great innovator. We want to hear from you. Share your own experiences and experimentations with us and risk taking that you've done in your microgreen venture. What's worked for you? What didn't work for you? And what did you learn? Let's keep the conversation going as we get into our Q&A session. If you're watching this live, feel free to ask questions and share your experience with us. If not, we will see you in the next one.